AG Sports. That's what's up. You're what's up. I'm what's up. It's at midnight and I'm recording again. So, as you can tell, I have not been sleeping a lot. If you've been following the channel, like I said, some stuff's been coming up, which is fine. It's cool. It's all about money. So I'm going to, put in all the hours I need to make more money, which is cool. But that being said, the videos have been coming out a little bit later and later. And if you're fine with that, great. I am probably going to be transitioning over to a podcast more so than YouTube, and I'll still be using YouTube, obviously, and I'll still try to make 3 videos or so, or hopefully even like 4 or 5 a week. But with the podcast, kind of the benefit, guys, is that I don't need to have like the computer in front of me and the filming equipment, all that kind of stuff. I can hop on my phone, tell you guys what the picks are, why they are what they are, and what data I'm looking at. I listen to a lot of podcasts myself, and I'm kind of seeing why they do it this way. Sometimes it is hard to be in front of a computer and kind of allocate the time every day. But enough about that crap. Let's get into what you're really here for, which is this Cardinals Seahawks game and the pick that I'm going to be giving today. And actually, it's going to be a slew of picks. So I started this week by saying, hey, I'm only going to probably give you like 3 picks this week. It's just I'm really trying to break down a smaller number of games and just kind of be better at those games that I'm breaking down. Well, I decided I was going to do one more game, and it's because just throughout the course of the week, hearing different podcasts, listening to different people, it seemed like there was a pretty decent opportunity in this Cardinals Seahawks game, and really the main reason why is the Kyler Murray injury. And I've said this before, and I actually said this last week. If you have not gone out to watch some of the doctors that are on YouTube, and first of all, thank you to those doctors, because I don't know why they do it. Like, if they have the time, I don't know how much money they're making off of it, but YouTube doesn't pay very well, in case you guys didn't know. I guess if they're getting contracts with other people, I have no idea. But either way, guys, thank you for doing that. And thank them if you're a fan of any of their videos. But from what I have heard and all this research I've done, the ankle issue that Kyler Murray is dealing with it seems to be what they call a medial, ankle sprain or ankle issue. That's not like a regular ankle sprain, and it's not even like a high ankle sprain. It's something that's very hard to come back from, even at a grade 1, and it's because of the way that it works, basically, and where it's at, how strong it is. It's very rarely hurt because of how strong it is. But when it does get hurt, it's a big issue because people cannot cut the way that they should be able to. And even after several weeks of rehab and treatment things, yeah, they can get back out there and they can play, but they're not as effective as they used to be because it hurts to move. And when you are looking at a mobile quarterback, even if he comes back, yes, he's probably still better than Colt McCoy, even if he doesn't have 2 wheels. But he's going to have to become more of a pocket passer than the scrambler, guy who's going to extend plays and make things happen the way that we know him, the way that he's really truly effective, and the way that the Cardinals have game planned for him. All of that being said, I don't think he plays this week. I really don't. From the stuff I've heard, that injury is at least like a 3 to 4 week injury before you're even really healthy enough to get back out there. And obviously the longer you give it, the better you'll be, and the more effective you'll be, and the more confident you'll be with that injury. So the Cardinals do have a bye week next week. I don't know why they would send him out there this week. I don't know if it's really a re-injury issue. I have not heard anybody go into detail on how frequently that thing is re-injured. But it's more so like an effectiveness issue. If you know he's not going to be effective this week and you're just going to put him out there, especially for a guy who's used to running and an offensive line that's okay but not great, and now he's not mobile, if nothing else, you're opening him up to another injury because he can't escape the pocket the way he was before. So I don't understand why they would put him out there any sooner than this. So that kind of brings me to 2 things. 1, I don't think he's going to be out there. And 2, I think that news is going to move the line because up to right now, and I'm recording on Friday night, most talk has been that he's still questionable. It's still going to be a game time decision, and they're going to see how he plays and all that kind of stuff. I think that is just them kind of playing poker here and seeing how long they can put this out to see, maybe throw the Seahawks off the scent here a little bit, which is fine. Like, I totally get that. But as far as a gambler, I'm not going to put any money into this game thinking that Kyler Murray starts. My bet, my wager, my thought process is going off the fact that, one, Kyler Murray is most likely not playing. Two, if he is playing, he's not going to be the Kyler Murray that we're used to. And three, even if he plays and even if he's more effective than I'm thinking, they are still out DeAndre Hopkins. And while that team does not necessarily need DeAndre Hopkins to be decent, it definitely helps. And DeAndre Hopkins is, I don't want a safety blanket, but he's more of like a sure hands player, receiver that Murray really trusts, and he's the guy that they look for in big situations and on the goal line. So whether it's Murray or not, DeAndre Hopkins has already been rolled out. So for those reasons, the Cardinals to me seem like this. Everything is just wrong about this line because there's so much ambiguity here. My algorithm, if Colt McCoy plays, and that's the other thing, is Colt McCoy himself is also questionable. They may be going to their third string quarterback, and while the third string quarterback has not been seen, you would assume that he's worse than Colt McCoy because he's the third stringer. Now, it is, again, leaving us open for some interpretation here because nobody has actually seen this guy. But Colt McCoy plays it very close to the vest. He does a lot of very short passes, a lot of short A-dot kind of stuff. Very rarely you'll see him kind of, let the ball fly a little bit. And that's really what hurt the Cardinals. And I told you this back when they won that first game with Colt McCoy. I said, yeah, they won, but it was a lot of fluke stuff that happened in that game. And Colt McCoy himself was not very aggressive. He's very, very conservative and very protective of the ball, which is fine from a backup, but it's not going to win you a lot of games. If he's gone, we don't really know what to expect from that third stringer, but we know he's probably not going to be super aggressive if for no other reason than Cliff Kingsbury and that coaching staff is probably not going to call very many aggressive plays. They're not going to put a lot on the plate of this guy stepping in as a third stringer without DeAndre Hopkins and without Chase Edmonds. They're probably not going to put a lot on this guy's plate. They're going to probably just play conservative, say, hey, look, don't mess up. Don't lose us the game. Let us try to figure this out. Maybe the defense can do something here, but I don't expect them to go out there and say, hey, you know what, kid, go start bombing it. The Seahawks, on the other hand, one, they're playing at home. Two, Russell Wilson, this is going to be his second game back from that injury. And while I think he's still probably not 100%, I think you're probably going to see a pretty drastic improvement from last week to this week. One, he did knock off some rust. Two, he's kind of working the hand out. Three, every week that he comes, he's playing, he's recovering from that injury, from that surgery. He's just going to get better and better and better as the week goes on. We saw it with Dak Prescott. In the one game he missed, next game he came back, he didn't really look that great. The second game after that, he looked fine. He looked like he was back to normal. Now, obviously, the injuries are different, so I'm not saying that he's going to be perfect, but I do think he's going to be better than last week. And against a team like the Cardinals, who are depleted of talent right now, I don't think he needs to be 100%. Guys like TK Metcalf can do a lot of the work for him. Alex Collins is a great bruising running back. I say great very leniently, but he's a very serviceable running back who can find the lanes, who can do what we need him to do to keep those sticks moving. I don't understand why the Seahawks are underdogs in this game. I mean, I guess I do if there's some question about Kyler Murray, and if you are a book that's making the lines specifically for like just your lay players, your general, shitter guy, I get that. But if you have a lot of money invested in this or a lot of time invested in this, you're probably leaning more to my side than not. But what are the picks, right? What is this all leading up to? So a couple things. Number one, I like the Seahawks. I personally bought them up to +3. Now, I bought it when it was back at +2.5. So going up to the +3 didn't cost as much. Right now, you're probably looking at like a -140 to get it to the +3. I still don't mind that. That's at the pretty tippy top of what I'm willing to pay. If it's up at a -150, To be honest with you, I really, I don't know if I like that. So that's a lot of juice for a 3. But if the numbers read out right, and to me they do, it is worth it at that price. I'm not going any higher than the 150s. If you find it and it's at like minus 180, minus 190, whatever, just either don't do it or tease it or listen to these other picks and you can pick a different one. The other way to play that would be to tease it. If you wanted to tease that with another game, you can tease that with the Saints, with the Vikings, or even with the Raiders. Those are all leans from me. I do have the Saints on other plays, but if you were going to get the Saints or the Vikings and tease them up, you're getting lots of key numbers and games where I think those teams could actually outright win. If you don't want to do that, there's 2 more wagers that I like here. 1, I like the first half at under 24. Depending on your book, you may be able to buy the point, you may not. Some books don't allow you to do that on first half plays, and a lot of places right now have the first half at under 23. If you can buy that point up to 24, again, that's pretty much a key number for first halves if you want to look at it that way, because it's exactly what you're thinking, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, so it does come up relatively frequently. The 24 is where I like the under for the first half. I like the 48 for the full game. It's at 47.5 right now in most spots. I honestly, I'm even fine with that because 47 is the key number for the full game. I really, truly believe this is going to be like a 41 to 45 point total at the end of it. Our algorithm here, and I'm going to go through this real quick, has this at a 50. So 2 things about that. 1, the Cardinals grade is absolutely wrong. I'm telling you that right now. They have just gone completely downhill since Kyler Murray and Deandre Hopkins got injured. These grades don't accurately reflect that just yet. Again, like I said with the beginning of the year, it takes like 4 weeks for all of the numbers to really catch up to the play on the field. So we need to take this number with a grain of salt and realize that the Cardinals are probably like 2 to maybe even 3 deviations below this right now. The deviation size has changed. Just like the key numbers are changing, the deviation size has moved from 7 to 8. So the standard deviation, if you say it's 2 moves down from here, you're really looking at like a 13 is what their predicted score would be. And if they score within 1 standard deviation of that, their very tippy top of the score there would be like 21 points. Now, last week, we had 8 teams that were below their score, which is the predicted score I have here in front of you, which is 29. I do believe the Cardinals were one of them last week, and I believe they're going to be on that list again this week. Again, not really surprising there because we knew, hey, look, there's just a different quarterback, a different play style, different called plays. So that's all going to come into play. The Seahawks, though, at the 21, they have been pretty consistent. They stay within that range of outcomes. They stay within that 1 standard deviation, and I expect them to do that again this week. Now, the Cardinals actually do have the 2nd-rated defense per DVOA. They do have some injuries right now, but I don't think it's going to be enough for them to really slack off on defense, and especially with Kyler Murray being out and DeAndre Hopkins again being out and Chase Edmonds again being out. The defense understands that they need to take up a lot of slack, and the coaching staff also understands that, and they're going to call the game realizing that. And so that defense is still going to be really tough, and for those reasons, the under is really, really strong for me for both the full game and the half. I don't see the Cardinals giving up a whole bunch of scores. I do see the Seahawks still somewhat struggling through the Russell Wilson injury. I think DK Metcalf again will be excellent. I think because Budda Baker is one of those guys who's questionable with the Cardinals right now. But I also do see Alex Collins being effective in this game. And I think the Seahawks just outright win this game. So if you wanted to take the money line and not have to lay a huge number like a minus 140 for the +3, I really don't like the +2. It's not a key enough number. There's really not a whole lot that you're getting with the +2. So I would either go the money line route if you believe like I do the Seahawks will just outright win this game, or you're buying it up to 3 or teasing it through the 3. If you do tease it, you get through the 3 and the 7. But again, those are the 4 plays I like on this one. I personally am doing all of them. I have a quarter unit on the money line. I have a full unit on the Seahawks +3, and then I have a half unit on both unders. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do one each or how I want to do that, so I just split it. But I do believe that those are all great plays. I believe that this game is one of those games that we have broken down, or I have broken down from start to finish. And I'm not saying obviously any bet can lose, but for us to lose these wagers, you would have to have a lot of things go a very specific route. You would have to have a lot of unexpected points being scored, and really it would specifically be the Cardinals. The Cardinals would need to come out with his third-string quarterback, and he would need to hit guys like Christian Kirk consistently downfield, deep shots to take advantage of that Seahawks defense and score a lot of points, and I don't see that happening. I think that range of outcomes, while it is there, is very, very minimal, and I love all four of these plays. Like I said, there's a couple other leans I have, guys, but I think for the most part, the plays that I've given are what I'm going to stick to. Those are the ones I really, really like. If you do want to just have a quick look at the kind of the leans I have here, I'm going to go over them real quick, but I'll try and keep it as quick as possible. So first we have the Browns-Lions. I am not touching that -13. I think that the Browns could cover that. I'm not really willing to lay that with the Browns right now, especially with Baker not being 100%. I think the under is probably the play in this game, especially with a lot of running being done. But the Browns should just outright win that game. Other than that, I'm not really touching it. Jaguars, 49ers. I actually give the Jaguars a pretty decent shot at pulling off the upset here. I'm not strong enough in my conviction for that to actually do the money line on it. But if I was going to play something here, it'd probably be the Jaguars +7 and just buy the hook to get it to the key number. But again, not really touching that one because this is just one of those games. It's either going to be a Jaguars win or the 49ers blowout. So, again, not really touching that one. Next is the Colts-Bills. Now, I didn't give this play out mainly because I took it very early, and there were some things that I don't really like about it now. But I did take the Colts when it was at +7, so I did lose a half point of value already on that. But the Colts, first of all, the weather should be pretty cold and nasty and probably snowing. They are playing in Buffalo. Surprisingly enough, though, that actually helps the Colts more so than the Bills. The Colts, again, as you probably know, are the bigger, heavier, more run-focused team, and that bad weather is more conducive to their style of play, and it actually helps their defense hopefully slow down that Bills offense. Aside from that, the Bills defense is really good, but they have not really played a whole lot of good offenses, especially a lot of good running offenses. The Colts offensive line should be able to have their way with the Bills defensive line. The Bills offense is going to need to take advantage of the poor secondary in the Colts, and they definitely can. The Bills have the weapons to take advantage of that, but with the weather, with the step up in just schedule and difficulty, and again, I was saying this a couple weeks ago, this is really the first week the Bills are stepping into the deep end as far as having to play against some decent defenses and even better offenses. I don't know if the Bills are ready for this, and the Bills still have not won a one-possession game. So if this does come down to a one-possession game like the spread is telling us, it looks like it's going to, I can completely see the Colts pulling off a last-minute upset. The Bills just have not proven to us that they know how to handle these one-score games, and because they're so one-dimensional with the pass, it's really hard for them to run out the clock on a game. So I did take the Colts +7. Again, that's not an official pick I'm giving to you guys because there are a lot of ways for the Bills to cover that and win that, but I do think the Colts +7, +7.5 now is the way to play this if you're going to play it. Again, the Bills, not to say that they couldn't do it, but it's going to be a very tight rope to walk if you think the Bills are going to cover that game. Dolphins Jets, again, another one I'm just not interested in watching really or touching at all. If I was going to play this one, it would be the Dolphins, but I would buy the hook down to the -3. Other than that, I'm really not liking it too much. Washington versus Carolina is another one I thought was pretty interesting. Washington does have the advantage of Ron Rivera knowing how to take advantage of Cam Newton, and I think that's why it's been moved from +3 down to +3.5, and it looks like it may even be moving again. But Washington has that advantage. They looked really good last week. The Panthers, whether it's PJ Walker, Cam Newton, whoever back there, they just don't really have a great quarterback that you can trust to keep the ball moving. Now, Washington, again, did lose Chase Young, so that's kind of an issue, but their defense has really not been too great all year. They had been getting pressure, but not getting sacks, and I don't see that changing much. So, again, I didn't touch this one. I didn't put any money down on it in this game at all, but if I was going to, it would be the Washington +3, strictly because I believe Ron Rivera knows how to game plan against Cam Newton. Ravens-Bears, I do like the Ravens in this one. I thought about it, and I went several times kind of to the, different algorithms to see what I could do this one. If I was going to play this one, it would be a Ravens tease and just teasing it down to 0. I didn't end up doing that one. Again, this is another one where I think both teams have a legit shot, at least with the spread here. I think the Bears can keep this close. I think the Ravens are probably going to struggle a little bit with the run game of the Bears. For whatever reason, they've had a hard time stopping the run, even like with Jonathan Taylor a couple weeks ago. The Bears could keep this one really close. Could be a really low-scoring game, and so I don't really like to touch this one way or the other. If anything, I would maybe looking to the under, but even that, it's kind of hard to say because the Ravens have been passing the ball more, and if Lamar Jackson can get going, whether through the air or on the ground, he can put up a lot of points in a hurry. Saints versus Eagles. I like the Saints here. I like this one, and like I said earlier in the week, I like the under. I had the under at 42.5. It has gone down, so it has moved with us. We've actually gained a half point in value on this one. I like the Saints. I put a quarter unit on the money line on this one as well, but I also teased this up. So I have the Saints +8 with the Vikings. I got it back at when it was at +2, so it was Vikings +8, Saints +8. Those are the two that I got. I still really like it. It has continued to go up. I think a lot of quote-unquote sharp people are putting money on the Eagles, and I'm not sure if that's kind of like a head fake. Could be one of these situations where they're putting money in it until it gets to the Saints +3, and then they hammer it down. Again, I'm not sure if that's the case or not, just kind of an assumption on my end, but I really like the Saints being able to stop that Eagles run defense, and I think the Eagles are going to realize too late that they need to rely on Jalen Hurts on his arm, and even if they realize that going into this game, I don't think they have the right weapons to really utilize it. Texans Titans, we went over this one before. Titans have a couple disadvantages, but really you want to focus on the first half of that game. For the full game, if I had to take something, I'd probably take the Texans +10, but I do think the Titans are good enough and well coached enough to take advantage of this, and most importantly, I think the Texans are going to be sleepwalking the rest of the year. They're coming off their bye. I think a lot of those guys went on vacation, didn't look at football, didn't care to even talk about football. Now they're coming back. They're going to play the Titans, and the Titans are going to try to punch them in the mouth. I really love the Titans for the first half. It was Titans -6, I think was the line that we took, and the under for the first quarter, and that's really about it. Packers, Vikings, like I said earlier, I took the Vikings on a tease back when it was a Vikings +2. I don't like the +1, but if you wanted to take just like a Vikings money line, could do that as well. I do think the Vikings either win that game outright or it's very, very close, but I think that the Vikings can pull that one off. Bengals, I'm sorry, before I move on that, I've said this before, but I think the Packers have really lucked out with a few of these games. They played Washington a couple weeks ago. Washington got into the red zone several times and just didn't put up any points. One of those came on a Tyler Heineke slide that didn't count as a touchdown. Then they played the Chiefs with Jordan Love, and it looked competitive because the score was 13-7. But realistically, that game was never in doubt. The Chiefs were winning that thing from start to finish. And then last week they come back with Rodgers. They get a win. Everything about this Packers game, though, just seems like it's just not sustainable. And I mean, to their credit, I've been saying that for like 3 years, so I wouldn't be surprised if they prove me wrong again. But I don't like that team. It does not look like it's been sustainable at all. It looks like there's a lot of different things that could go wrong, and that whole team is built very precariously. But anyways, enough on that. Bengals, Raiders. I like the Raiders in this one. The Bengals going into Vegas, they have not really shown up a whole lot. I think the Raiders have gone through a whole lot, as I'm sure you're aware of, with Henry Ruggs and Gruden and all this other kind of stuff. To me, it seems like that's probably, getting further and further behind them. This Bengals team is still good. The defense is still good, and they can slow down the Raiders team. But I just think the Raiders finally come back. They kind of get a good bounce back spot here, and they do either win this game or keep it very, very close. I think the under is probably another way you can look at this one. The Bengals defense was really, really good just 2 or 3 weeks ago. They did kind of take a step back, but I think that defense does have another good day today because the Raiders are pretty limited as to their receivers and just their talent on offense. So the Bengals can maybe focus in on guys like Waller and Jacobs and shut that offense down or keep it really slow. And the Raiders on the other end actually do have at least a decent enough secondary to where they're going to make the Bengals become a shorter team, kind of a nickel and dime team, instead of trying to air it out with like these big bomb passes. Cardinals Seahawks, we just went over that one. Cowboys Chiefs, again, that's probably the most interesting game of the week. I do believe the Cowboys can pull that one off with an outright win. I like the over for their first half, especially if you can get it at something like 27 or lower. But the lines on this one are just so tight that I really haven't done much other than I put a quarter unit on the Cowboys money line, and it just came out today that Amari Cooper is not playing in that game, which makes it a lot tougher. It makes it a lot harder for the Cowboys to pull out the win. I do think they still have the horses to get it done, but it's going to be really who makes the mistake first. Can the Cowboys defense make a play against this Chiefs offense, or can the Chiefs just march up and down the field all they want? On the flip side of that, can the Cowboys utilize that offensive line and really rely on their run game and make that Chiefs play a slower tempo game than they maybe want to? Will Dan Quinn adjust his defense to that too high safety look? Not sure. The routes are there for the Cowboys to win, but it is also very feasible that the Chiefs overcome whatever the Cowboys throw at them, especially if Dan Quinn decides to not use a too high safety look. The last one here is the Giants-Buccaneers. Without Antonio Brown, this team has not really looked great. I don't like laying the 10 points with the Buccaneers. Now, the Giants obviously are not that great. Buccaneers just got diced up last week by Washington. Hopefully they're able to bounce back. But if Antonio Gibson can do this to the Buccaneers, he had a great game last week. I see no reason why Saquon can't do, at least half of that job, even if he's still not 100%. Hopefully he is. But him and Evan Ingram, him and hopefully Kenny Golladay, if he's at least half-ass healthy, should be able to have a decent game against this Buccaneers team and put up some points. I don't think the Giants win this one, but hopefully they'll find a way to cover. Again, I'm not laying any money on that one either, but that's the lean I would have if I'm going to put anything on it. So, that's it for today, guys. Have a great weekend. Good luck this weekend. Good luck with all your bets. Thank you again for staying tuned to all of this. And lastly, I will put out some information on Twitter and probably on the next video here as to the podcast whenever it does get rolling. Thanks again. Have a great weekend.